Hey guys, Scott here. Just a gaming memory I wanted to share for what I think was actually the coolest game mechanic I have ever seen in my 33 years on this planet. It is from a game called the Blackout Club, which was a small, pretty indie game that was pretty popular. It was like 5 years ago. I don't have any B-roll of me playing it anymore. It was a long time ago, so I'm using an old Markiplier for it here. But it was a very simple game. It was a co-op game. Basically, you were some kids that you were in a haunted town. You had to traverse the town, fulfill various objectives, and then escape. There were like essentially possessed neighbors that would try to get you. There was this thing called the Shape that would chase you, not Michael Myers, but you couldn't see the Shape. It would be like an overarching force that you would know is near. The only way to see it was to close your eyes, and it would put you into this separate mode where you can sort of see footsteps and you can see a rough like orange aura of where they are. And it was just cool. It was just a cool, like, creepy avoid the thing. And it was like the atmosphere of the game was just really neat. And overall, the game was just pretty fun. So you're trying to get like evidence, I guess, to prove all the weird things happening in this town. And by itself, that was a cool mechanic. So that little orange thing you saw there, that's the Shape. And you can only see it when you're closing your eyes like that. So yeah, it was cool. Very frantic, kind of like horror gameplay. It was a fun little game. But that's not what made the game incredible. What made the game incredible is the fact that the developers would join your game without you even knowing and begin to just fuck with you. And that was so cool. We played this game a couple of times with my group of friends. And like the second or third time we played it, there's this thing where when you close your eyes, you can see footsteps and you can see where the Shape is if he's nearby. But also occasionally you'll see random cryptic messages like he's coming for you or something. You're not going to last much longer. And it's usually when like the Shape is nearby. And these are things that are coded in, but they change dynamically based on what you're doing. And that's cool. It's like, oh, that's, like it's another just creepy thing that they added to the game. You're getting these like cryptic eldritch messages when you don't know where they're from, but they're relevant to your situation. So it's like, oh, that's cool. So when we were playing one time, somebody, I forget what the message was, but I responded like out loud talking like, man, how do you think the developers made it so that these messages are so like on point to what we're doing? And then I got an indicator to close my eyes again. And then I closed my eyes and on the screen it said, what do you think, Scott? And then I was like, oh shit, this is cool. Because that means that's not AI anymore. That's someone is personally doing this. And we found out afterwards that yes, devs will randomly just join your game and completely change the objectives of what you're supposed to do. Sometimes you don't even have to do the objectives of the game anymore. You close your eyes, you see cryptic messages, and if you obey them, they will just do something else for you. Another time that happened, we were told to like stop doing the objective and just start dancing. And so we just jumped around and danced, and then we got like teleported to this ethereal space plane where like this eldritch voice spoke to us and said it was impressed with what we were doing, and then it sent it back in our way. Like all that stuff. You know what it felt like? It felt like a curated Dungeons and Dragons session. I think D&D is like one of the best games ever made because it's a game that is made specifically to be exactly what you want. The Dungeon Master is supposed to make the game that you guys want to play. So think of your favorite game ever doing everything that you want, and that's basically what D&D is because it's someone catering the entire game to you. And that's basically what would randomly happen in this game. You would have developers randomly join and just mess with you. And sometimes it'd be simple, just like I'm watching you, little teases, and you still play the normal game. Sometimes it would go out of crazy control, and you would be doing a totally separate objectives. You can end up on the moon. Some crazy shit happens, but it's all up to what the developer that joins actually wants to do. They hired a bunch of voice actors. I don't know how many people they had doing this role, but I looked it up. There was definitely a good number of them, and they all had like eldritch names. So they were like almost like seen as like deities of the world that the game takes place in, and you would be like blessed by one of them sometimes. And I don't know, I just thought that was one of the coolest mechanics I've ever seen in a video game. This game really hasn't had any traction since then. It was fairly notable like 4 or 5 years ago, but since then I haven't really heard of it, and I don't even know if the developers would still be doing that anymore. But to its credit, I have to say that is one of the coolest mechanics I have ever seen in a video game. I would love to see that. I know it's a lot easier to do when the game is small, so you don't need 500 paid employees that are doing this in your games. But I would just every game in the entire planet would be better with this system. I think that's something I can safely say. Every game ever made would be better with this type of system with a developer that could enhance your experience live based on what you're doing. I can't think of a single better universal mechanic for any game. So that's why I wanted to give this game some credit. Go look up some old YouTube videos of it if you want to see more what I'm talking about. It's a very unique game, and that developer interaction was just such a cool feature that I would love to see in basically anything. And yeah, I just wanted to talk about that because it was one of my fondest memories ever playing a game on stream, and it was just, yeah, really, really cool stuff. That's it. Thanks for watching.